Every minute I was checking the mirror to see how my skin was doing and what can I try today. My skin was so inflamed, red, swollen, flake, peeling, dryness, like sandpaper all over my face and my hands mostly. It was very difficult to have a normal life. I couldn't go to work on some days just because my skin was so flared up and so painful. At times it was even oozing, and this is all on my face. So I found it very difficult to work, to go to social gatherings, to just have a normal routine. At the beginning of the journey, I did all of the conventional things. I went to my GP. They prescribed betamethasone for my hands, and it was increasingly not working. And so I would get a stronger topical steroid, and eventually nothing was working. At one point, when my face was really bad, I was put on prednisone for 3 weeks, tapering it off at the end of the 3 weeks. And of course, at the end, it all came back even worse. I was even recommended to put steroid cream on my face while I was on prednisone to keep it at bay and to make it calm when I came off the prednisone. That was a total backfire. That did not work. After going off prednisone, I saw a naturopath. What did she do? She put me on omega 3s. She was trying to give me B12 support, vitamin D, and none of that was really helping. I had such a short cycle of healing. I might have had one day where my skin looked normal per week, and then the cycle would start all over again. So the GP didn't work. I even saw an infectious disease doctor at a hospital because my skin was so swollen and so inflamed and just so horrible. The naturopath then recommended I do a GI 360, like a mapping of your gut microbiome. I did a hair mineral analysis test, and I did an organic acid test, and that showed a lot. But yet again, the strategies that I was told to do were not really working. I realize now how long it takes your skin to heal from something like that. But I think I was with her for months and months, and there was really no change. I also did food sensitivity testing, and I cut so much out of my diet. I had huge food anxiety. I did not know what to eat or drink. It was really a rough time for me. I also spent a ton of time going down the Google rabbit hole and trying to join other eczema groups to see what other people were doing. And I tried some of those things, and nothing really worked in the long term. It was a very frustrating journey. I tried, what did I try? Tons of different lotions and creams, and my skin just wouldn't tolerate anything. The barrier was so compromised that nothing would work. Everything would sting. There was always a stinging, burning redness. I used to use ice packs just to get some relief. The itch was incredibly unbearable, especially at night when my body temperature would go up at night, and it was just excruciating. That's all I can say. Before starting the program, I had many doubts and hesitations and a bit of resistance to everything because of the volume of strategies that I had already tried. At the beginning of the program, when the focus was mostly on the nervous system, I had my doubts about that because I had already reached into that world a little bit to try and keep my stress levels down. I felt like I had done a good job of exploring a lot of strategies. I had already done tapping for years. I had already done like forest bathing type of meditation for a long time just because of what was happening in my life. But what bothered me was that it was a slow start. And I remember at the beginning of the program, that was the advice: slower is faster. Healing takes time. We need to get to the bottom of your nervous system dysregulation before we can heal anything. We need to let your body know that it's safe. That is what I have learned, and that is so very true. The length of the program was another one. 6 months. Oh my gosh, I've already lived through, gone to hell and back. for months and months. I don't know if I can do this for 6 months. But in reality, it goes by so quickly. You can't even believe it's over. The biggest turning point for me was the very first protocol I received from Petrula. I was out of town. I was opening up my cottage. I had been through a lot of grief. Just before that, I lost a really good friend to cancer. I decided to break up with my boyfriend of 2.5 years. But her video was so impactful to me because she didn't know me from Adam, and she recognized the level of stress and trauma that I have been through for the last minimum 10 years. She really looked at my health history. She really shone a light on every detail. And she said, "You have a lot. You are dealing with a lot." And I remember that moment because I had to drive to the top of the hill. I had no cell signal, and I was anticipating this protocol so much that I remember parking in a cemetery because that was at the top of the hill, and people were going by looking at me, but I cried my eyes out. It was like a huge release of this unresolved trauma, this grief. It was just someone recognizing, you've been through hell. This is probably why, or is at the root of a lot of your problems. I'm so grateful for that. Just to have someone who's also been through this and knowing that there's a whole team of people looking at my health history and trying to put all of the clues together and come up with something that suits just me. It felt like someone cared for the first time. As far as the elements of the program for me was the mindset work in the beginning. As I said before, I practiced tapping long before I joined the program. I did forest meditation, but clearly it wasn't enough. And when I started looking at breath work with Brianne, I realized that was so impactful. I thought, oh no, this is going to be 45 minutes. Do I have 45 minutes? But it went by in a flash, and I couldn't believe how my body felt and my mind felt after I practiced that. I also really appreciate all of the learning modules in the program. You can watch them as many times as you want to remind yourself where you're at and what the recommendations are for the module you're supposed to be focusing on. The idea that you have to set your intentions and do reflections. I did a lot of that in the beginning of the program. I was really trying to hyper focus on everything because I really wanted to get better. What has changed for me? I'd have to say absolutely everything. I'm no longer obsessed with my skin. I can pass by a mirror without looking how my skin is doing. I don't even think about moisturizing it most of the time. I have a normal social life. I'm free to go to work. I don't anticipate how's my skin going to be tomorrow. Will I be able to do this? Will I be able to go here? It has had a huge impact on the quality of my life. I feel like I'm living my life now. My words of wisdom for anyone struggling with eczema or someone starting their healing journey is pay attention to your thoughts. What you tell yourself is what your brain understands. I was watching Alicia, and she said, the space between thoughts is freedom. And it is so true. If you can just stop yourself and say, is that thought serving me? Is it helping me to heal? Or is it blocking my healing? I'd say that's number one for me. Recognizing the negative talk in there, in your head, and shining a light on it and redirecting that thought. I think Mel Robbins put it nicely at some point, and she said, look at yourself in the mirror every morning before you brush your teeth. Give yourself a high five and say, I am doing okay. I am okay. That's number one. Your mindset is everything. If you can learn how to rewire that, then you are going to have a good beginning. People who are just starting this journey with the Love Your Skin program, they say in the beginning, slower is faster. Take it slow. Learn. Listen to the modules. Just pick 1 or 2 things to focus on in that week or that month and stick to those things. Don't try to do everything all at once, like I was doing, because then you have no idea what is working. Taking it slow and building on the pillars is foundational to your healing. And also, one last word, you really have to do the work. No one else is going to do the work for you. Yes, there's testing. Yes, there's protocols. Yes, but ultimately it is you who decides the level of effort that you're going to put into this, because it all comes down to you. If you put the effort in the beginning and through the program, you're going to do okay, because you will have the tools that you need when you graduate from the program to heal yourself.